So hello my friends, Devon Lennox here, PhotographyPX. In today's video, I'm gonna do my first impressions and first look at Adobe Photoshop for iOS. All right, so this on screen is gonna be the image that I'm going to load into Adobe Photoshop. That was just recently released, and actually it went launched and live here on Apple iOS devices earlier last week rather. So I wanted to do my first impressions and my first look of Adobe Photoshop on iPad. And I just wanted to kind of take a look at the program. I haven't opened the program. All I did was download it, set it up initially when it comes to just installing it and just making sure that it was operational. So this is gonna be the first ever really the first impressions of using Adobe Photoshop on iPad. Some of you guys that have already tuned into PhotoPX, you will have known and seen that I've edited with Photoshop on desktop on Mac OS X. And I've also edited using the iPad Pro here, which is this is the last generation from 2018, but I've edited a lot using Affinity Photo, which is basically that company's port of Adobe Photoshop with their own twist, different algorithms, things of that nature. But Adobe themselves has fully released Adobe Photoshop for iOS, fully ported over. It seems to support all the natural actions and things of that nature that I've seen so far. So we're gonna just kind of test that out right now. So I'm gonna load the photo up straight from the beginning. So you're gonna see me just kind of open up the application, and you're gonna see the good, bads, and the uglies as I figure out how to use this application over the next 15 minutes and my thoughts. Again, you're tuning in from someone that has used Affinity Photo for almost 2 years now and edited hundreds of images on Adobe Photoshop for Mac OS X, but then also taking that knowledge over to iPad and then editing almost exclusively using Affinity Photo, doing retouching, dodge and burn, color grading, luminosity mask, background replacements, merges, all that kind of stuff. I've done all that stuff in Affinity Photo and it works very well. So we're gonna kind of see how a basic retouch kind of would work here on iOS right now. So obviously we get to the new page, we have to basically set up our document sizes. I'm gonna just use print and I'm gonna just set it to an A4. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Or maybe 8x10. Yeah, I'll do a portrait 5x7 actually. So we're gonna set our document sizes, that makes sense. Okay, so how do we import an image? So maybe here, quick export. So we have our export settings up here where it's just letting me know that I'm working offline, that I'm not connected to Creative Cloud. Like I said, this is first impressions, kind of looking at the user interface. I'm actually gonna skip that and I'm going to go over to here to import and open and then go into camera roll. Yes, allow, so that it knows what we're looking for, and select our image. That's just gonna make more sense. Looking at the panels, so we got our layers tabs over here. We can see our layer properties. This kind of just shows us the layers that we have. We can turn them on and off, just like we would in Adobe Photoshop for Mac OS X or Windows. And we can change our blend modes and opacities down here. Makes sense, cool. I like the icons that we have here. We have the same ones: difference, exclusion, divide, hue, HSL. That's all there. Overlay through hard mix, those are all there. And then we've got our lighten colors or dodges, and then our darkens, same things, and dissolve. So they've ported over all the blend modes. That's great. Apparently you can add clipping adjustment layers, which I'm assuming is just kind of like a blend. You just add an adjustment layer, then it has some kind of mask. But I would like to figure out how I can use the healing brush. Let's see how the healing brush works here. So I'm assuming this is a healing brush right here. We have the spot healing brush settings. We can set it to sample all layers, which is, if we had a layer on top of this, it would adjust that layer as well. I don't know what this is. I'm assuming that's brush size, which is okay, that's interesting. We don't have a lot of tools. We got the paint bucket tool here, got an eraser, we got a normal paintbrush, we have some selection tools. But we only have the healing brush, is that so? And we have the clone stamp. Okay, that's gonna be kind of interesting. From what I can tell, we don't have the spot healing brush here, which is interesting to say the least. Here's what I'm gonna do. How do I undo? Okay, that's up here. great. So how do I duplicate a layer? Oh man. Okay, sweet. So you go down here, duplicate layer. Can I lock a layer or no? Let's see if that's an option. Lock layer. Okay, so all of that functionality is there. Okay, great. We're doing good so far. I'm going to be just doing this without the Apple Pencil right now. Just going to kind of just do this by touch. I would like to see how well this works with just touch. So, okay, we're using basically the spot healing brush right now. Nothing revolutionary there. Let's see how it works when it comes to that. Okay, I wasn't expecting great results, and yes, that makes sense. So we're going to set that to maybe 5. Oh, it doesn't support rotation of the image. Ooh. That's really unfortunate. Okay. Wow. Okay. In Affinity Photo, if I basically grab and I rotate, it actually rotates the entire canvas. I think you could do that in Photoshop. I'm not sure, but if you can't do that, that's an immediately kind of a red flag for me, because I do like to rotate. That's obviously going to leave funky results. This wouldn't be the ideal way to fix this issue, but I'm just kind of curious to see how the algorithm works. But yeah, like I was saying, with the rotation, I do like to rotate the canvas as I'm working with the Apple Pencil, and I'm getting rid of certain things. Suffice to say, we're just going to kind of, I know it's not going to be great, it's not going to be perfect, but we're just going to kind of just leave it as is. Oh, that was pretty decent. Nice. Okay. Her skin's already great, so we're not really going to be doing a hardcore retouch here. In fact, I'm actually going to show you guys in a later video some new tips and tools I've discovered to make your retouching life a lot easier when it comes to doing this process. I have no idea what happened there. The device has no free space. Dang, man. Okay, well, okay, let me fix that real quick and we'll cut the video right here. I'm actually gonna grab my Apple Pencil since we're here, and then we'll come back up. Let me free up some space real quick on my iPad, and then we'll be right back, okay? All right, so we are back. Sorry for that a little bit unfortunate running out of space incident, but in the meantime, I actually grabbed my Apple Pencil and I thought about it, and I just wanted to see how this application works with previous generation iPad Pros with the older version of the iPad Pencil as well. So let's hop back into where we left off, and I was just basically playing around with the spot healing brush, just kind of seeing how the algorithm is working, things of that nature here. How easy it is to change brush sizes when now I'm using the Apple Pencil. It's pretty smooth and fluid. I still don't like the fact that I can't rotate the canvas. That's kind of irritating to me. I hope that's something that I'll be able to figure out how to do, because that is just really that's really gonna irritate me beyond belief. I'm definitely used to that functionality. As far as algorithm-wise, doing this kind of basic motion here works really well. And the brush is also very pressure sensitive, which is absolutely awesome. That's pretty great, actually. That's super sick. You can do calligraphy with this version of Photoshop. That's pretty good. The sensitivity on Affinity Photo is it's not quite to that level. So I'm assuming you may be able to get it to that level if you're doing some customizations in the brush panels. You may be able to get it to that point, but by default, it's not set up that way. So this is pretty cool. I like that. So far, it's pretty snappy and responsive. It's quick. I don't have any issues with the way that it's ported over in terms of performance and speed. I would like to see how the selections are gonna work. Do we have the smart selection? Do we have like a lasso? Does it have like a selections mode? How do we, this adds a new layer, okay. I mean, honestly, you can add layer mask that way. Okay, that's good. What is this? Filters and adjustments, Gaussian blur, that's it. They don't have all the filters, guys. Ooh. So you can't do, unfortunately, that means if you, oh man, you can do, yeah, you can kind of do traditional frequency separation here, but you're gonna have to alter your technique a little bit. Unfortunately, they don't have all of the filters here. This is the only filters that they currently have. I don't know if this is because I'm not currently synced to Adobe's Creative Cloud. I'm not sure. I am working offline right now just because I don't want any interruptions with our YouTube video that we're recording right now, but that's kind of a huge issue right there. We're definitely missing some of the filters that we would be used to, especially that are in Affinity Photo. And I do want to compare this application, as launched. I don't know what's going to come in future updates and things of that nature, but compare that to where Affinity Photo is right now. I don't know where they started when they first initially launched the application. And I think that was back in 2017, 2016-ish. It was a number of years ago. So they've obviously had a lot more software improvements, and they've released more additions to the program, which they have done. But I don't know if that'll be the case here with Photoshop, but as of right now, they are missing some of the key filters. We can only do a handful of filters here. I like the fact that we can, do blend if, or not blend if layers, but basically this tells it to mask to the layer below it. It's kind of like a clipping mask to a certain extent. You can do traditional layer mask, and you can see the mask, which is great. That's awesome. You can also hide that, great. You can show and hide layers. You can change the blend modes, awesome. You can add new layers. I'm assuming you can probably add fills, clipping masks. Okay, all that stuff is good. You can merge. All the core functionality is there, but where I'm kind of having issues here is that, okay, adjustment layer. You can do your adjustment layers, HSL, color balance, things of that nature. That's great. But if we're going to be missing some of the filters, and all the different blurs, and not only that, we're missing some of the selections as well. The selections that we have are a little bit limited here. Okay, we have kind of a smart selection, lasso-ish. Okay, let me go down to the actual layer and see if we can still make that work with what it has. How do I delete layers? Okay, I'm not gonna worry about that right now. I'll figure that out later. So it has that. Okay, let me unlock this, and we'll hopefully figure out how to deselect. And I don't know how to deselect, guys, I'm not gonna lie. Again, first impressions, so I'm kind of learning how to do some of this stuff. It does look like we have, praise Jesus, a smart selections brush, which is right here. We have the lasso tool, polygonal, the spherical one, and the rectangular selection tools, which are good. We have some pretty good brush settings right here, which is great. We have some customization for our eraser tool as well. We can do flood fill, or maybe not flood fill, it's just a regular fill tool. And then we can also do a gradient, which is great. We only have clone stamp and the spot healing tool, not super great. We're missing the standard healing brush. We're missing the patch tool. We're missing a bunch of tools that would otherwise be in main Photoshop. So that will definitely need some additions right there. And I don't know how to deselect. Yeah, I do not know how to deselect. Oh, there it is. I didn't see that. Awesome. Okay, so gives me hope. Let me unlock this layer and try one last thing before I give you guys my closing thoughts here on Adobe Photoshop for iPad 2019. They finally released it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so how do I not have it do that? I want to get rid of an area. Is it that? Okay, I think it's this. Okay, it's giving me hope. Selection is okay so far. We'll do down here. Let me see if I can change this backdrop. Okay, so we would add a new layer basically. We can do adjustment layer, and we can do maybe HSL. Let's see how that works. Increase the saturation. But it's not doing, it's on a mask. Colorize it. Okay, I don't know how it's doing that, but yeah. I'd have to figure out that specific technique. But yeah, let me kind of give you guys my closing thoughts as I'm kind of using this and first impressions, things that I share. So far, awesome. Very good. Like I said before, it is missing some core functionality. I would say the benefit over using Photoshop for iOS as opposed to using Affinity Photo, which is far more developed. You get you have more selections in terms of the selection persona, the merging, the complexity of the photo merges and things of that nature that you can do. All of the retouching tools are already there. Every single tool is there. The patch tool, healing brush, spot healing brush, inpainting tool, all of that stuff is already there. And I would say, considering what is available there, I would probably still sway users to really consider that as a more viable option if you're going to edit on iPad Pro. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because you purchase Affinity Photo one time. That is a one-time purchase of, I think it's still $19.99. Last when I bought it, it was $14.99. I think the prices went up, so now it's $20. But considering what you're getting, lifetime updates for $20, you have the application forever, as opposed to getting Creative Cloud, which I used to have. I don't have it any longer, just because I use an older version of Photoshop, which is just a standalone version. I don't use the CC version of Photoshop anymore. But with that, I just use a standard older version of Photoshop. I don't get the updates and things of that nature because it has tools that I don't need in those versions. But at the same time, it's $10 a month, right? If you're getting one application that you're spending $20, that has all the tools that you guys will ultimately need to deliver fantastic edited images, print those images from iPad, which I'm assuming Photoshop can do. I may actually do a video on printing directly from iOS, just editing a photo strictly here, just to show you guys what it's capable of. But ultimately, for $10 a month, you do get the Creative Cloud, the benefits of having a portfolio website and having everything sync and being able to shoot tethered. All that stuff is great from a workflow standpoint. But ultimately, if you don't need those features and you're looking for more of, I guess, an all-inclusive suite, I would honestly say Affinity Photo would be better at launch. This is a first impressions kind of what Photoshop has released as of today's date. 1 week out from their official launch date. And so far, I think the performance is great. Like I said, it's just missing some core functionality that may be added in later updates. I'm not sure, but with that, you still have to consider the price point. So it's $10 a month. You get, Lightroom and Photoshop, and you get those applications, and you get also the mobile version of it as well. But Affinity Photo is $20 one time on both computer and on iOS. It translates very well. Yes, you can't do the remote shooting tethering option because you don't have Creative Cloud. So you can't do that. You don't have that functionality. You don't have the syncing ability either. But honestly, as someone that's used Affinity Photo for the last 2 years, I'm seeing functionality here that it's just not good enough for me to switch from Affinity Photo to Adobe Photoshop. That's me personally. Maybe there's going to be changes here over the next year, 18 months, maybe as this program, they get more feedback from users and things of that nature that would get it to that level. It's totally possible. Absolutely. I totally agree that would probably happen. But until that happens, I'm staying with Affinity Photo. So, I hope this video was a little bit insightful. As you guys do know, or if you're new here, things of that nature, please consider watching the videos that I've done on Affinity Photo so far, so you can see some of the some of the workflow things that you can do in the application before purchasing it if you haven't already, or if you're on the fence. Again, consider the price point of you spending a subscription base versus a one-time payment. If you're okay with the subscription, it comes with perks, but if you don't need the perks and the benefits of that subscription, it may not make sense for your specific needs. You have to also filter that decision based on what you guys need. I don't need that stuff, but you guys may need that stuff. So just putting that out as a caveat. So I hope this video was insightful. I hope I added some value. Just kind of working through and showing you a little bit of Adobe Photoshop here. Just kind of taking an image through and just kind of working through the kinks. And just my thoughts, by all means, I would love to have a discussion with you guys in the description below. Let me know kind of how you feel about Adobe Photoshop so far. Have you tested it on your iPad? How do you think it translates so far from Adobe Photoshop for the standalone actual computer applications and the computer platforms? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you as a part of the team. I'm Devon Lennox, your host at PhotographyPX. We've got some awesome content coming up soon. Stay locked in, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace out, my friends.